today. I'm just taking this in. This is a lot. This is great. 4 months ago, I was enjoying a seemingly normal life. This is not where I thought I'd be today. I was entertaining the idea of a presidential campaign. But this is really exciting. Yeah. Thank you. To be honest with you, let's do some math here. 12 years ago when I came out, I didn't think there was a spot in this world for me. 5 years ago, I never thought I'd find love. Met someone pretty amazing. And here we are. Yesterday I was walking through whatever airport it was, it's hard to keep track of, and saw my husband and I on the cover of Time magazine. Yes! With the words, first family. That's pretty remarkable. And that's never going to go away. That's out there. That's in print. That's for every kid to see that you too can run for president. I want to thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with us today, for investing in this project, for believing in my husband, and helping us spread this message across the country. I'm going to introduce you to one of our hosts, David Cooley, the owner of the Abbey. And once again, thank you so much for being here, and for believing in my husband. I look forward to seeing you on the trail.
Hello, West Hollywood! Now, I know 29 years doing this. We know how to welcome someone very special, right? Yeah! I want a loving West Hollywood welcome when we introduce Mayor Pete. I know you guys know how to do it, alright? We know he's the one. So, first of all, please let me welcome Ira Madison, who's going to say a few words. And again, thank you. This event sold out so quickly. So thank you. Welcome everyone. Ira.
But I will just say that I'm really excited to be here for Pete, and I'm excited that all of you are here. It's just it feels a lot like how I felt when I was in college, being able to vote for Obama. There's the idea, you're always told you will become president, and when I saw that happen, I realized that. And it's great to see a gay candidate with his husband campaigning and seeing so many people coming out in support of him, seeing him reaching across the aisle as well. I don't love reaching across the aisle, but if you're running for president, you have to. So it's great that people are also responding to that. And we were with Pete this morning, and he was talking a lot about issues that are also very important to me as a black voter. He was talking about how about mortality rates for mothers, for black mothers, is higher than it is for white mothers in this country, and a lot of that is about racism that has existed, in the medical industry. And he was also talking about housing inequality, income inequality, and it's seeing a mayor who's from the Midwest, like I am. I'm from Milwaukee. Understands these issues and really wants to talk to people that aren't just white and aren't just gay, who wants to, really sort of unite our country. It's great to see him here, and I'm really happy to be here on this stage saying that I support him. So right now, I would love to introduce Mr. Stern to the stage. Yes.
What's up, Henry? Hey, I'm Henry. I I'm a senator in California. I represent about 1 million people, probably many of you here. I see some good friends from the district. For being the first millennial elected to the California State Senate. And I don't think youth is a disadvantage. I think what we need now is new ideas and new leadership for a very, very new future. But I'm here with a bit of an announcement. I'm coming out today. But not in as difficult of a way as many people here have had to deal with in their lives, in a much easier way. I'm coming out for Pete Buttigieg for president. It was not a hard decision. I went to college with Pete, and when you look around Harvard University, and all the brilliant people and, future magnates of industry, you meet a guy like Pete, he wasn't the type to go self-announce. He didn't know he wanted to be president of the United States back when he was 18 and 19 years old and planning every single day and trying to be perfect. I actually didn't like those guys very much. They felt like they were trying too hard. They were forcing it. What we talked about back in school was how to solve healthcare. What climate change was actually going to mean to our generation and generations ahead of us. Ideas. Sitting at Harvard Square eating a falafel and just talking for hours and trying to dig in. Truly embracing the importance of leadership in a way that is so rare these days. Not a self-promotional kind, but a humility and a decency underlying that, but also a brilliance. I've met no one smarter in my entire life, and I've had the privilege to meet some very brilliant people, but truly, the mind on this young man is unprecedented. And the challenges we're facing in this nation actually take that level of sophistication. It's not just that he's charming and that we all are in love with his husband. We are. But it's beyond that. It's actually about the quality of ideas. When we're facing challenges like automation and what robots are actually going to do to the workforce of the future, or how the climate security crisis is going to affect small communities like mine, where the home I grew up in burned down in the Woolsey fire, and where all of us have been facing the ravages of this disaster, this slow-moving and very real disaster in our lives. How do we actually solve that and bridge the divide? I do not believe the divide in this country is that wide. I believe that Pete has the mind and the decency to actually heal this nation, because we're hurting. But we don't hate each other that much. And I don't care what you see on the internet or on Twitter. There is not that big of a gap between whatever us means and whatever them means. That is a false narrative. So I believe in this man to be our next president of the United States, but do you? Yeah! Are you ready to welcome the stage to the next president of the United States?
For your leadership and for your endorsement, Senator Stern. Really Thank you, Ira, for your support. Proud to catch you on our team. And how about my husband? Huh? He's pretty special. And I really enjoyed seeing America come to fall in love with him the way I have. And I'm I'm so thankful for all of you. Thanks to the Abbey for hosting us. And a number of elected officials here, including Mayor Pro Tem Lindsay Horvath, who's got some South Bend. Thank you very much. I'm so thrilled to spend a little bit of time with you, and I want to thank you for being an example of what 21st century grassroots presidential campaign support looks like. I'll be honest, when we were making our plans for the spring and figuring out what May was going to look like, we thought that we would be spending our time explaining how to say my name and convincing people that I ought to be somewhere in this process so that we could fight our way onto the debate stage and have a breakout moment with me and Jim. Instead, we qualified for the debates a long time ago. People are still trying to figure out how to say my name. But instead of trying to claw our way into the top 10, we are consolidating our position as one of the top candidates in the presidential race. That is evidence of the fact that all of the things that made this campaign unlikely, all of the things that made this campaign unusual, all of the things that made this campaign raise a few eyebrows when we said we were going to get going, are the things that are propelling us into the top of the conversation. The idea of a mayor, not a moment too soon, I think. At a time when we have got to figure out a way to make Washington look more like our best run cities and towns before it starts to go the other way around. The idea of a voice from a different kind of community, the industrial Midwest, where this president targeted the vulnerabilities of our community, not just with the racism and the xenophobia, but with a message saying that in the face of all these changes that were confusing and disrupting our communities, that we just stop. We just go back. That greatness could be found pickled from the past and opened back up and served today in order to make America great again. And the thing is, that's not how American greatness works. It's certainly true that we can make contact with a great tradition, but if we look into our past, if we seek the very greatest thing in our past, the kinds of people we really want to emulate, the most important thing we will find about the best people in our past is that they always kept their eyes on the future. That's the story of my hometown, the city of South Bend, and that's why it's time for a new generation of leadership in American politics. Here at the Abbey and everywhere we go from coast to coast, we see the stirrings of a generational alliance. This is not 1968, when one generation rose up against their parents. This is a moment when you see young people, younger than I am, leading, whether it was the airport protests against the travel ban, or even in South Bend, an amazing women's march the day of the inauguration, or the March for Our Lives that had young people saying, "You're not doing enough to keep us safe." We saw young people in the lead, but we also saw their parents and their grandparents at their side cheering them on. That's what change can look like in our country. That alliance is forming around the values of freedom, security, and democracy. Don't let anybody tell you the Democrats don't know how to put what we believe in onto a bumper sticker. It fits. Freedom, security, and democracy. We got to make sure Americans understand that there's more to freedom than cutting somebody's taxes or taking apart a regulation on a bank. That freedom is something we have to build up. We have to lift each other up. We know that because freedom entails being able to live a life you're choosing. And good policy, good government, not big or small, but good government, is government that tears down the barriers to that life. That's why we have an obligation to defend freedom by ensuring everybody has health care so that you can start that small business even if you're just living your own life. That's why I don't have to be a woman to know that we're not going to be a free country so long as there are attacks on a woman's right to make reproductive rights.